I get a lot of questions about parking. Why did we install the parking meters in the first place? Where does the money go? How long are you planning to leave the meters in place? Why is the city charging for parking and handicap spaces? I'm going to try to answer all of those questions and give you a lot of background information. The idea of installing parking meters in downtown Oxford was first proposed in 2009 by the Oxford Downtown Parking Advisory Commission. The recommendation came from business owners who were really tired of employees of other businesses parking in all the prime spots around the square and staying in those spots all day. And that rarely allowed for customers to have prime parking. Initially, when this was brought to the Board of Aldermen, the board didn't support the idea and instead opted to hire a parking management company to manage downtown parking under a 3-hour maximum parking policy. This solution did allow for parking spaces to turn over more often, but it also proved to be extremely costly for the city. In 2014, I was actually an alderman at the time, and our board voted to terminate the contract with our parking management company, and we decided at that time that the city of Oxford would manage the parking system ourselves. The Parking Advisory Commission spent many hours studying patterns and parking solutions in other cities, different ways to structure paid parking. They were looking at occupancy rates of our current lots, and a few months later, a new paid parking system was developed and approved by the Commission, and then presented to the Board of Aldermen and received their approval. Now, one of the primary goals of the new system was to make parking financially self-sufficient. The parking meters were installed and activated on September the 2nd, 2014. In late 2015, the Parking Advisory Commission again began discussions of adding additional parking to the inventory. And we've studied a lot of different parking experts, philosophies on when this should happen and that kind of thing. And most of the experts say that once parking lots are consistently 80% full or 80% occupied, it's time to add parking if you want to keep up. So in 2017, we were tracking the occupancy levels of all of our different lots, and they were above 80% occupancy in the prime spots on the square and those in the surface lots around the downtown area. So again, back to the drawing board for the Parking Advisory Commission, and they again spent months researching and planning and brought a plan for a parking garage and paid parking in surface lots that would allow parking revenues to cover the cost of the garage and also cover the expenses of the parking system. The Board of Aldermen approved and plans commenced to design and construct a 4-level, 399-car garage with a 100-car parking lot designed to ease the parking pressure in the downtown area and to better serve our residents and our visitors. These additions brought our total downtown parking inventory to around 1,200 public parking spaces with a multitude of parking options and various permits that are available to be purchased. It's important to note that the parking garage floors 2 through 4 offer free parking every day. It's funny, I say that to people and they're like, no, there's no free parking, but there is. Floors 2 through 4 in the garage are free always. And in addition to more parking, public restrooms were added when we built the new garage, and that's been great, as well as the spaces that were added for charter buses that visit our downtown area. In 2019, the downtown parking garage was completed, creating more opportunities for parking for our businesses and for our visitors. The total amount of bonds issued, including interest, was $15,114,883. The city began making payments on the bonds in September of 2019. This year's payment is $1,016,494. The amount can fluctuate from year to year depending on accrued interest. And as of today, the total debt paid has been $5,172,113. Since the parking meters have been installed, the city has generated $9,957,717.21 in total revenue. This income covers the costs associated with the downtown parking garage and with its maintenance, as well as the annual bond payments, which have for the same time period totaled $504,077.08, fulfilling the original intent to make the paid parking system self-sustaining and leaving us with a cash balance today of $520,571.21. These parking revenues are all kept separate. They are never put into the general fund, and they are used only for parking related expenses. So, now you know, probably more than you ever wanted to know, about why the meters were installed and where the money goes. I've been asked how long the parking meters will be in place. And honestly, I don't foresee a day where they would ever be removed. We are reaching the point where we need even additional parking inventory. And I believe that you'll hear our board make decisions about adding another parking garage in the next 3 to 5 years. We will look for ways to add parking without raising taxes, so these paid parking fees will continue to be needed. As many of you know, in June 2024, handicapped spaces became metered at the same rate as all other spaces. We have a Mayor's Commission on Disabilities that makes recommendations to our Board of Aldermen regarding sidewalks and parking and pedestrian crossings and other issues as well. The commission actually recommended that the handicapped spaces be treated no differently than the other paid parking spaces back in 2014. But the board at that time decided that they would make the handicapped spaces free. I've seen numerous people who say that it is unlawful to charge for handicapped spaces, and that's simply not true. Recently, the commission, led by board chairman Cameron Stubbs, came to our Board of Aldermen and asked them to reconsider due to the fact that the handicapped spaces are rarely available during the day, as we are finding that people have been utilizing them for 8 hours, eliminating the opportunity for others who need the spaces to find open spots to be able to come eat lunch, go to the bank, go shopping, and the fact that many people, sadly, who are not in need of handicap parking, will use false hang tags to get free parking. The board followed the commission's recommendation on May 28, 2024, and began charging for the handicapped spots. Next week, you'll hear from our board chairman, Cameron Stubbs, who will detail the reasons that the Mayor's Commission on Disabilities brought this recommendation to our board and why he feels strongly that the handicap spaces should be charged. So thank you for listening to this very long update, but I hope it gave you the information that makes you at least know where we're coming from. That's our goal. And so follow us again at oxms.net. And you will get more updates and more information. We are stronger together.